This is exactly what we've been waiting for, as Emil Heineman is back in a regular jersey and was on the fourth line at practice. This has big implications for the Habs going forward, as we'll take a little look at their schedule, but we also got to talk about more rumors about Jake Evans and how the Washington Capitals are seeming more and more likely like a trade destination, and some great talk about Reinbacher's first game in Laval, including some pretty amazing comments from head coach Pascal Vincent. We got a bunch of stuff to get into coming up on this episode of Habs Digest. And Jesse, let's start with our boy Reinbacher. Now, look, his first game, the numbers didn't jump off the page. He was on the ice for 4 goals against from the Manitoba Moose, but he had some interesting things to say, and we got to dive into what Pascal Vincent said too. So first, Reinbacher said, I think I played pretty good. I think it was quite all right, the first impression, but I have to work on a lot of things. The timing, the speed, reaction. It's fast on the ice. I have to be ready. I think I did a good job on some of the reads, had a couple of good looks. I just tried to help the team. But Pascal Vincent said, I thought he was our best defenseman the first half of the game. He reads, he kills plays, the first pass, he can anticipate what's happening. He asks questions, and his questions are advanced. For a guy who only played 11 games with us last year, he'll probably play on the power play. So, like, pretty great stuff right off the bat for Reinbacher, Jesse. I mean, look, we know the numbers didn't jump off the page, but we also knew it would take him a while to get into things. But Pascal Vincent seems to have very high hopes.
Yeah, some big praise from Pascal Vincent. I mean, this is what you want to hear from Kent Hughes. For right now, you'll take that he's the best D-man in half the game. Next, you want him to have for that full game. And then being that best D-man on Laval for that stretch. Obviously, selecting at 5th overall, the expectations are different. But nice to see that Reinbacher's coming into that really early after some fairly devastating string of injuries. We have to remember that larger context. Like, he's been going through it, but he's going to come out that other side better than ever. Why, Josh? It's all about that first pass with David Reinbacher. He's getting praise from his teammates, left, right, and center, making smart decisions, great reads on the ice. Of course, it's just the normal things at this point, just shaking off the ice and kind of getting used to that North American speed. Of course, there is that, and kind of coming back from injury when people are pretty much at peak conditioning right now. So we got a lot of faith in him. And we know with Reinbacher, I mean, we don't need to say it too much, but it's like the question going forward is, can he stay healthy?
Yeah.
Because it looks like we got a solid player, like somebody that could be reliable. Maybe that's not, if he can stay healthy, he's going to be the most reliable player. It seems like a paradox, but if we can get that with Reinbacher, you just got to feel from his game. It's just that consistency, again, so reminiscent of Guhle in a lot of ways, but with that added upside, maybe killing even more plays, dare I say, in that defensive zone. So really looking forward to seeing what he can supply, because I mean, what this team needs, more scoring. We're getting that up front with Demidov soon. What we also need, kind of more right-hand defense. We got in Reinbacher. The question is, like, do we want to wait for these prospects to develop? Do we do something kind of the interim? It's not an obvious decision in terms of how you approach that. So some very interesting decisions coming up.
Yeah, for sure. And again, like, he's able to kill plays. He'll probably play some more PK, and he'll play in the power plays. That dynamic effect of David Reinbacher, like, right away, he's clearly making an impact, and the feel is there for the game. But again, when you don't play for so long and you're injured for so long, coming into a team who's like 25 games until the end of the season, you're first in the AHL, and you're trying to keep up with these guys, it's not going to be easy. So very cool stuff. We also saw him play a little bit with Adam Engstrom, and I'm kind of hoping we see a bit more of that going forward, because that's a nice little duo there. They both have a bit of offensive and defensive upside. I'm excited. Two smooth skating guys, so really, really cool. Keep an eye and leave some love for Reinbacher down below. I know his first game was a couple days ago, but it's just exciting to hear this kind of talk about him. It's great, but we're going to move on to the deadline. And again, Jesse, I want to talk a bit about Jake Evans. Now, there's been a lot of talks, a lot of places linking him to different teams, and there's one article that I will link down below that links the Capitals again, but they actually give quite a good reason. They say forward Jake Evans is one of the NHL's top trade candidates. He's a pending UFA, he's having a career season. But when looking at teams who should be in the mix, the Washington Capitals undoubtedly stand out. They are looking for help down the middle, and Evans would give them that. Now, we know the Capitals tried to acquire Evans at last year's draft, so that's one reason that they stand out. But again, looking at that center core, to have Evans come in and play that 3C or 4C, your bottom 6 centers being guys like Lars Eller and Jake Evans, really gives you that bolster in the bottom 6 that you need for an already good team that is kind of rolling this year, with Strome having an unbelievable year, Dubois starting to bounce back, McMichael and Protas being 2 of the better contracts in the league this year. I know they're still young, but again, Jesse, look, I don't want to dive too deep on all these trade rumors that we hear about, but the more I think about it, the more this genuinely makes sense for the Washington Capitals. And look, I'd like Evans to stay, but this team, I would have to agree with the article, they stand out to me.
And yeah, the Washington Capitals, they're circling back, and that's why we're hearing about this. And already this lineup, we're looking at the makings of a very solid playoff team. You then throw Jake Evans. It makes a lot of sense for a lot of reasons there. So you have to feel like they're motivated. I see also the Edmonton Oilers as being a key team to kind of look at. Things are really going to heat up on the trade front within this next week. Now, trade deadline basically 2 weeks away at this point. So really getting cooking, especially with teams kind of being back in action. So very interesting. Like probably an improvement at this point over Lars Eller at 35 years old. Be interested to see if they'd maybe want to keep Jake Evans for longer than the season afterwards. Obviously a great player in a lot of ways, comes from Montreal, provides a lot of the intangibles that Jake Evans is now doing right now, kind of back in his day a little bit more so. Obviously, production's down, 12 points this year for him. So it would be a solid move for the Capitals. But again, Josh, I'm not giving out hope that we can figure something out at the 11th hour here.
I know, but again, it's fun to talk about because, again, there's a lot of teams right at the top of the standings. It feels like every team near the top of the standings has been linked to Jake Evans in one way or another. And that's so good for us to hear because, look, if we sign him to an extension, great. It's not going to matter anyway. If we don't, we know there's going to be a bidding war for this guy. So every single time we hear stuff like this, it's just music to our ears because, again, like I said, whether he's traded or not, to know that there's a bunch of interest is really important. But I want to move on to the final thing, Jesse, and this has more impact on the Montreal Canadiens right now, because we got some big news out of practice. Patrick Friolet often tweets out the lines at practice, and here we go for today. Caufield, Suzuki, Slafkovsky. Little underrated thing here that we could talk about maybe, but Newhook, Dach, Laine back together. They're just going right back to it, seeing how it works. And then Anderson, Dvorak, Gallagher, Heineman, Evans, Armia. Now, Jake Evans' performance himself, this kind of even links to what we were saying. It fell off a cliff without Emil Heineman. This fourth line, Heineman, Evans, Armia, that chemistry is palpable. You can see it, you can feel it, and even Heineman, Jesse, is getting reps back on that second power play. And with the Habs' upcoming schedule, there are some tough games, but some winnable ones, like the Senators, Mikko Rantanen, and the Hurricanes. But then we got the Sharks and the Sabres twice. If the Habs want to stay in that playoff push, this is like these next 5 games, you want to win at least 3, hopefully get at least 7 or 8, or I guess 6 to 8 points in this stretch. And having Emil Heineman back is so huge. I don't know. It felt like, I know the 4 Nations break was like a decent amount of time, but to hear him back so soon, I'm just like, well, there he is. This could be a legit turning point for this team.
And just because this is the lineup that we had when we were on our winning streak, the inclusion of Emil Heineman, how it changes the entire line structure of this team where we can now go back to kind of that winning formula is absolutely huge. And again, shout out to Emil here where it's we're just having another prospect coming fairly out of the blue that's developing very well. And we're just seeing such a trend of that of late. I think, a big part of that has to go out to our development staff where this has improved leaps and bounds from where it was originally to now where it's at. So, just another prospect that's really panning out. We didn't think a year ago we'd saying Heineman, we need this guy in the lineup. He helps us so much in so many ways, not only our line structure, but just the type of hockey that we want to play. So this is just another win for the Montreal Canadiens where we actually realize how, these prospects and maybe the ones we don't expect all the time end up being such a big part of this club.
Yeah, absolutely. And again, it's honestly shocking. Not only his production in terms of rookie scoring and stuff, which is crazy, but how much he's helped that line of Evans and Armia just with his effort, his forecheck, and also his shot. That's all you need. He is super high motor, super high energy, lays the body, and has a crazy shot. And bringing him in on that second power play, he has a power play goal this year. This guy can rip those one-timers, and something I'd like to see Slafkovsky do a little bit more, but they put Slav in front of the net. That's what they do, is what it is. Jesse, maybe one final comment though on before we end this video off. What do you think about running back Newhook, Dach, Laine? I know maybe we weren't expecting to talk about this, but just to give my opinion, I'm kind of glad to see this. Laine had a great 4 Nations. Stick him back on the second line, see what they can do. I'm still not convinced those 3 are the best in terms of chemistry together, but I'm really glad to see them giving Laine a shot back in that top 6.
And skill-wise, this is what you got to do. And Martin St. Louis, he's going to push some buttons, but we know, this is the plan, given on the skill that we have. This for the lineup construction. This just really makes sense. So very happy just to see this back. And again, we have seen this work, so I think there's something to be said about that. To then go to the defense pairings as well, though, we've had a little bit of a switch up there. A little bit of a change of philosophy from Martin St. Louis, where he was going offense with Hudson and Matheson. That's now changed. We're seeing in the pairings from today where we are seeing Hudson and he's being paired with Struble on that first pairing. So again, going to that offense, more defensive type of pairing, a little bit more traditional, I would say, and then continuing that on the second pairing also with Matheson and Carrier, which I believe with Matheson has always been my viewpoint from the beginning. You need to pair that guy up with a little bit more of a defensive guy. I'm liking the structure and interested to see how it'll play out.
I'm excited to see it. Yeah, I'm really excited to see Matheson Carrier. We saw a bit of it before the Four Nations break, but not too much. And this is a pairing that I think can really work because, like, you know, in terms of overall, like, I mean, Hudson is probably up there too, but like Matheson and Carrier, they're two of our more impactful defenders. I'd say like two of the three, right? So it's like, it's very cool, but let us know your thoughts on the lineup, Emil Heineman, all the changes down below. We'd love to hear from you, but that'll do it for this episode of Habs Digest. If you enjoyed, leave a like, comment, and subscribe to the channel. Thank you all so much for watching every single day. Cannot wait to get back to Habs hockey tomorrow night. I'm Josh Gosse, my co-host, Jesse Poirier. We'll catch you in the next one.